We're ready for the green flag here in Lancaster.
We sure are. The field is set 2 by 2. They rumble off turn number 4. Ladies and gentlemen, headed to the green. The New Way Auto Parts 150 is fired up for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And it is Ron Silk, and it looks like already the inside lane is seemingly the way to go. Meanwhile, Jake Johnson dives to the bottom. Joe off turn number 4. It is Jake Johnson who's found the slot on the inside lane. Will it pay off? He moves into second.
Bottom lane is going to be the preferred lane here. You get off turn 2, you see how it narrows up as you head to the back straightaway. The caution flag is out here on just the opening circuit or so. You see Justin Bonsignore getting into the back of Jake Johnson. You saw on that opening lap, Johnson really shipped it in there on turn 3. Got it a little hot down into the corner. Bonsignore going back and saying, hey, it's a little early for that.
Yes, it is. And remember, they did not have a lot of practice due to the weather conditions and the rain. There's the car that brought out the caution. It is car number 72, Andrew Spurback out of Niagara Falls, driving the Proform parts machine. He gets it fired back up, and it should be a very quick caution as they check out the racing surface and things to go.
Andrew is making his debut in the Modified Tour here today. Drove Tour Modifieds years and years ago, but had the opportunity to get out here with this car this season. He's hoping to do a couple of more races, but this is his debut in the Whelen Modified Tour here tonight at Lancaster.
Sure is, and he'll pick up at the rear of the field. And as we have said, Ronnie Silk took advantage of things in the start. Jake Johnson received, well, the calling card of Justin Bonsignore to let him know he was not as happy. It's too early, as Joe pointed out, to be that aggressive in this event. Field remains under single file before they double them back up, and we only have the opportunity to look at the front row and what was happening there. But there's some other action that we'll take a look at further back in the field when we get them fired back up.
Jake Johnson has never seen this racetrack. Last year, Brian Narducci drove the 3-car here at Lancaster Motorplex, so he has not raced anything here before. First time turning a wheel in that limited practice earlier today. So he has the benefit of being able to be up front because of his points position, that win that he had earlier in the year at Monadnock Speedway. What's interesting, though, with Jake Johnson is that even until this year, which is the first year he's run full-time, he's been on the tour a couple of years, now his 3rd year with those part-time seasons before. He always adapted very quickly, and it didn't take him long to get figured out what it would take to be successful in this series.
You know, you're so right about that. He comes from a background at the Seekonk Speedway. He's driven full-bodied race cars before going to the Modifieds. Now, just a week ago in the Monaco Tri-Track Series, he was the big winner in his family-owned race car. So he's been there, and you know, you talk about experience. Sometimes a driver might not know a great deal about a facility, but the Bowler family and the people involved with this particular race car, they can work with their driver and inform them the quickest way around, what to expect and what the car will feel like. And I think that's the secret to the success of Jake Johnson's race team.
And he's coming off of what was, ironically enough, in May, his best race of the season, the win at Monadnock Speedway. But last time out, it was their lowest point of the season, which was a 14th place finish. And so he's hungry to right the ship again. He's had a great year so far, but always wants a little bit more. He's been a fun add to the season right in the middle of that championship battle. So Jake Johnson will restart to the outside. Pretty quick caution here as he'll line up to the outside of Ron Silk. You see to the left there as a driver's work, that is that newly paved pit road exit and that access road. Mike Myers and the entire team here at Lancaster Motorplex have put a lot of effort. They painted all the walls. The facility looks completely different. They've added the extension of pit road, continually improving. So there's a proper pit road with the work they did last year and the work they did this year here as the race goes on. It
certainly is. And of course, it's a very tight turn if you want to go down on pit road. But right now, we have a reset of the field. They call it rinse and repeat. They come off turn number 4. And this time, Silk takes advantage of things again. But for Bonsignore, he's on the bottom of the racetrack, and that's where they said you needed to be. Out in front of Silk, Bonsignore moves back in, and here comes Austin Beers. Remember, the last time the Whelen Modified Tour was here, Beers secured the victory in front of a bunch of local fans in support of him.
You look at the success that they had last year, and now Beers, he goes to the outside after we talked so much about the bottom. You look at Austin Beers, though. He had 2 victories last year, the second of those 2 coming here at this racetrack. You come in halfway through the season now and a little bit disappointed, right? They haven't been able to get to victory lane just yet. He said, you know what, now's the time. If I've got a shot at making the second half of the season, I've got to be firing on all 8. I got to step it up, and it has to happen now.
You know, his dad had a lot of laps on this particular racetrack, and his dad told him he's got to be aggressive and up on the wheel from the beginning. All of a sudden, we've got a second caution coming out. It is for car number 10. That, of course, is Bob Reese out of Elma, New York, the ironlisting.com machine. He'll pick up and get it fired back up as well. He is considered a rookie on the Whelen Modified Tour, and this is his debut competing here in 2024.
Cluth Motorsports helping put this car together. Another driver very similar to Andrew Spurback, who's hoping to run a couple of more races as the season goes on. Might even see him make the trip to North Wilkesboro or Martinsville before the season is over, but wanted to try to come out here at his home track. Interesting story there for Bob Reese, because he actually owns a third-mile dirt track that runs on Friday nights, Freedom Motorsports Park. And he is a promoter, and that doesn't give him a lot of time to work on his race car and get it ready. You've been in that business before, Ben.
Yes,
and you know
I have.
what that looks like when you've got to prepare racetracks like this to be able to go racing.
Sure do, but give him credit. He's out there, and he's trying to get some seat time and be a contender in all of this. Well, we saw in the last restart, Joe, that Bonsignore hugged the bottom of the racetrack. We began to talk about the importance of running on the inside. Then all of a sudden, the defending race winner, it was Austin Beers that quickly made the move to the top side of the racetrack. So there's the story there. It looks like our caution flag still remains out as the field is working, trying to keep some heat in the tires back and forth before we reset the field, and we'll be ready to fire it back up. There's the signal from the starter stand. Looks like we're going to go green in 1, and when the field crosses over, our lucky dog competitor moves quickly to the back of the field. Rows of 2, ready to get back at it. 138 laps to go in this event, and the 2 big dogs of the Whelen Modified Tour are setting in the front row, but just as hungry as the men in row number 2. And Lutz has moved from the 7th position to the 4th position, and he's done it in a very short period of time.
Now look at how different this lineup is. A second ago, Jake Johnson in the 3 car was to the outside of the front row. Now he's on the outside of row 3. He got shuffled out of line pretty quickly, and now it'll be Justin Bonsignore up top. We'll keep an eye on it. Green flag comes out as they come back out on the main straightaway. New Way Auto Parts back underway here at Lancaster Motorplex, and it's side-by-side for the top position. Ron Silk in the 16 car running the bottom. Justin Bonsignore up top. And here comes Austin Beers, setting sail, getting a little bit down off the inside lane of the racetrack, splashing in a little bit of mud and water up as he did it on the bottom lane, and he's going to pay the price for it.
Well, he tries to continue to guard the bottom lane, but the black Lutz number 46, the Riverhead building machine, continues to run on the outside. While that is happening, all of a sudden, Lutz, it's do or die time. He must make the move, or else the freight train of cars to the inside, little stutter step by the number 64 car of Beers, gathers it back, and all of a sudden the 22 got a little bit loose, and that of course is Kyle Bonsignore.
Really impressive to see what Craig Lutz had done around the outside lane of the racetrack. This team has been on a slide the last 3 races. They've had finishes of 19th, 22nd, and 19 over the past couple of weeks, and that has certainly played not to their favor. 19, 22nd, and 12 over the past couple of weeks. They wanted to get things turned around, and he's much better on the big tracks, and this is one of them.
It certainly is, and he's showing that right now. Also, you will see as you look a little further back in the field, you're going to see a competitor that has moved forward already, Trevor Catalano with car number 56. That car has been moving towards the front of the field. It is already into the top 6. So the strategy there is starting to come into play. You know how important a victory is. It keeps the driver pumped up. But at the same token, Joe, Jake Johnson's number 3 car is now starting to drift further back, and it's struggling. Let's go back to the front.
Yeah, he's back in 7th. Up front, Justin Bonsignore, the race leader. Ron Silk in 2nd. Craig Lutz has kind of settled in a little bit. Austin Beers, Kyle Bonsignore have settled, and that's where you find the 56 car of Trevor Catalano riding there. Catalano family's got a lot of experience here, a lot of laps around this racetrack. On top of each one of those race cars, they're running the name of Evan Canfield, a photographer who passed away this week. And that entire family honoring him here this evening and looking to have another solid run in front of the hometown crowd.
Certainly is, and they've got a tremendous amount of support coming from their fans because this is their backyard. There's a great shot down the front straightaway on that pavement that is part of the drag strip. Meanwhile, keep your eyes on car number 22, trying to make its presence known. Melissa Fifield on the inside of the shot there, and all of a sudden it appears that car number 18, that of course is the Heggie machine, if it was off the pace for a moment, then gathered it back up. We're still under green.
Leaders work to the outside. There's the 32 of Tyler Ripkema, who's back in action after taking a race or two off this track, fairly close to him considering he lives in Owego, New York, further south from where we are here in Lancaster. There you see the 54, PJ 54, honoring his grandfather.
And also we're looking at car number 1. That is Patrick Emmerling. Emmerling, of course, he too is a competitor with a lot of laps at this particular racetrack. We go back to the very first Whelen Modified Tour event that was held back in 2021. It was Emmerling who was the big dog. And we talked about earlier in the program, the story was pretty much the same for Emmerling as he tests his skills driving the truck circuit as well. Caution flag comes back out. It is for car number 72, Andrew Spurback.
He came down pit road, and now it looks like he's using that access road here for a moment. He's got some damage there on the right rear quarter panel. Not sure if that was from the first incident that we saw early on in the race, only a couple of laps in, but this one here, lap 126. Caution is out for the third time tonight in the New Way Auto Parts 150. Justin Bonsignore, Ron Silk continue to be first and second.
So as they continue to be first and second, I think the key here is to look back a little bit further and see in the competition, and you will see that there are some competitors that are just starting to settle in and develop what they call the rhythm, and that of course is like Kyle Bonsignore driving the Chalou performance car. Cam McDermott and company preparing that automobile. They do kind of triple duty. He prepares about 3 different cars in 3 different programs. Woody Pitcat is among the success stories that McDermott and his dad have, preparing the automobiles for the competition as well. So we haven't got that long period of green yet in this, the running of the New Way Auto Parts 150. And there you can see 64 car, Austin Beers, has, well, kind of settled back in. Beers is settling back under the yellow in the 4th position. Bonsignore, who is contending, Kyle Bonsignore is setting in 5th. Trevor Catalano, Jake Johnson, Patrick Emmerling, and of course Tommy Catalano and Tyler Ripkema round out the top 10.
Let's talk a little bit about the difference in the rules that they've tried over the past couple of races for the Whelen Modified Tour, and will run for the balance of the tire change races. The first half of the season, it has been this way for many, many years, where you would get tires for practice, and then you'd get, call it 8 tires to be able to run the race, or 7 tires to be able to run the race.
Right.
It'd be a 4 set of tires that you start in qualifying, 3 tires that you can change in the race. And typically what would happen is everybody would come down, they'd get 1 pit stop, take those tires, and then that would be that, right? Well, they changed that around a little bit, where they said the start of the race, you get your 7 tires, the 4 you qualify with, a couple down on pit road, that you can use throughout the race. You can use them in any way you want, and you can change them when you go down pit road. So they could change as many as 7 tires on pit road. Now, that's a mix of practice tires and qualifying tires and different things. Some may be new. As they go through that, they've got the opportunity to come down multiple times, maybe twice, and get 2 tire changes. And it really opens up the strategy quite a bit and changes the dynamic of what could be done. Some of the teams take tires from home, which they're allowed to do for some practice. They're able to get tires here at the track. You see there's some 4 change tires that Phil Moran has set out for Ron Silk and his team. It looks like they're set up for maybe a 2-stop strategy. but that's very different than what we've seen before, and it gives them more opportunities to work on the car, and it also created the opportunity, I think, for Trevor Catalano and that team to play a different strategy game, give themselves a track position that they need with a fast race car, and win that race at Monadnock a couple of weeks ago.
So true. And, you know, in the past, everybody seemed to pit at the same point. It was kind of monkey see, monkey do. That's no longer the case. Strategy comes into play. Each individual team, two tires every time. And here we go. Back up to speed. And just like before, the inside lane seems to be the racy lane. Lapped automobile that was coming out of pit road comes right out in the neck of the fleet of cars going by. Meanwhile, it is the 46 machine that has worked its magic from the 7th position, trying to move into 2nd. It does it with ease. Austin Beers, Joe, he's stuck on the outside, and there's a conga line of cars in the inside lane.
Well, he watched the 46, and Craig Lutz go to the outside. He said, well, you know, maybe I can get that rolling as well. Lutz was able to now move his car into 2nd, but Austin Beers up top, trying to hold off Trevor Catalano on the bottom. The DeLange family and the team that Eric Beers' dad ran for, and Austin had a lot of experience here. This is a racetrack that he feels very, very comfortable with, and he feels that he has an edge, an advantage when they roll into Lancaster. But right now, his car not as sporty as it looked at the end of last year's race.
Certainly is not, but don't let that fool you. There's still a lot of time left to go in this one. But as you can see, he's on the outside, kind of hung out to dry, as the 56, the big winner from Monadnock, makes the move, Trevor Catalano, and right there with him is Jake Johnson. Now, Jake Johnson, just a few laps ago, was up front. Same thing that happened to Beers happened to him. He got shuffled back on the outside, said enough of that, and moved to the bottom of the racetrack. Currently, Beers is in 6th, Johnson is in 7th, and Patrick Emmerling is setting at 8th with car number 1.
Emmerling's been pretty quiet so far today. Trevor Catalano able to move up a position to work around the Andrew Spurback machine, who's down on the bottom of the racetrack. He's had a tough go of it so far in his debut here in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Up front, though, Justin Bonsignore leading the way. You know, you look at the way this season has played out, and typically Justin Bonsignore and Ryan Stone and this entire team put a big premium on dominating the race. They like to be able to go out, control the pace of things, be out in front. You look at his laps led this year. He's only led 167 laps. Now, you go back to a year ago, he had several more laps. You compare that to what Ronnie Silk has in his team. He's near a career high in laps led this year. That team has been pushing, controlling races, and Justin Bonsignore, that 51 team, they know they've got to do that if they want to win races.
You were so right, and being well aware of that, on a track like this and a day like this, a lot of different things can come into play. But right now, Bonsignore is continuing to hold on to the magic. You're looking at the 3 car of Jake Johnson. That car is back in the 5th position. Meanwhile, all of a sudden, Austin Beers trying to work over or follow, whatever the case may be, in Trevor Catalano's number 56 car. That's a battle in the bottom of the top 10. But there's no question about it. Here is that battle we've been talking about. And directly behind Beers is that number 1 car of Patrick Emmerling. Joe, remember at the start of the season, that car was considered to be a house car for the old LFR combination with Robbie Fuller. Things changed. The chemistry was not there. The Grasso brothers are involved with it now, and a lot of good people behind the scenes. That car has been a bridesmaid, but has never been able to marriage so far victory lane. Today could be the day, and this is the track that it all could happen on.
And a lot of it as a caution comes out here, 111 laps to go, the 4th of the evening here. And this time it looks like it's the 32 car in trouble for Tyler Ripkema. And what a heartbreak for that team is they were really looking forward to running this one here. They were strong last year.
They certainly were. You know, they're the guys next door in the Musco Northeast machine. Whenever they show up, they have a good run. If you look very closely, you can see that the left front wheel of the number 32 car, it's either picked up some rubber or something has went awry, because now it's heading down a pit road, and you can see he's trying to make that sharp turn, and the car just doesn't want to do it. I think something has happened with the left front, and yes, obviously it did, as he comes to stop. 2 wheels headed in the wrong direction, not the right direction.
Yeah, so Tyler Ripkema down on this pit lane. Crew will try to repair those tie rods to get that car attached where both wheels pointed in the same direction. But this is going to be hard for this team to be able to recover from as he turns that wheel to the right. You see the teams down on pit road. Now, what'll be interesting here, we talked about that opportunity to come down and get tires a couple of different times. You know, this year, 109 laps for the finish. We've seen a lot of stop and go, short runs here so far. Maybe some of those teams running the bottom half of the top 10 starting to get to that period of time where maybe you come down and make some adjustments and try to gain some of that track position while you've got the opportunity.
You know, I just want to mention that the old saying, they say silent but deadly coming to the front of the field. Well, car number 00 started in the 17th starting position from Tonawanda, New York. It is Andy Jankowiak. Now, the list of accomplishments of Andy Jankowiak on a budget is absolutely amazing. He has worked his way up to the 10th position, and he competes in the ARCA event as well. Joe, we're looking at the field as we're still under caution here.
A lot of those cars in the back half of the field have decided to come down pit road and make those adjustments as we thought might happen. So they've come down to pit lane, see if they get some tires now, see if they can get some adjustments and get those cars improved. And that's something just to pay attention to here. Lap 42 into the race, 108 to go, and among them on pit road, the 64 car of Austin Beers.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, that was definitely not a scheduled stop. There is another one of the Catalano cars heading back out in the competition as well.
Let's go down to pit road and Jesse Punch.
Guys, Lancaster Motorplex is paying tribute to one of their own tonight. Tim Mangus, 16-time winner here at Lancaster, is at home recovering from injuries sustained in a fire. So tonight on lap 93, in honor of Tim's car number, fans of the grandstands will hold up these Mangus strong signs to send their love and support to Tim, who's watching at home, one of the greatest to do it here at Lancaster Motorplex.
50 laps away from everybody holding their signs for Tim Mangus on lap 93.
Laps away from that tribute, and certainly well wishes to Tim as he recovers from the accident that he had in May.
Sure does, and we wish him the very, very best. And great tribute for a great man. That's what it's all about. So, again, it looks like we're about ready to institute what they call now the lucky dog. It'll drift back to the bottom of the field, and I believe that's going to be Melissa Fifield. Melissa Fifield, well recognized in the Wheel Modified Career for her accomplishments as a female driver.
So, lights in the pace car are out, ready to get back under the green flag here. It'll be 105 laps to go when the field gets the green flag. Craig Lutz has been digging, trying to get his way through the field. We'll start up alongside Justin Bonsignore. We saw the second half of the field come down pit road and get tires and adjustments. We'll see how that plays out strategy-wise and speed-wise as the race goes on. Pace car is in. Field rolls off turn number 4 onto the drag strip that is the front straightaway here at Lancaster Motorplex. And the green flag is back out as they dive off into turn 1.
While that is happening, all of a sudden, the car that drifts up the racetrack is Lutz. That gives the opportunity for the number 16 car to quickly move into second. Ronnie Silk. Side-by-side battle again. It appears that if you get to the outside, see how he loosens up just a bit as you're looking at the 22 of Kyle Bonsignore. Meanwhile, Jake Johnson, he's come back to life, Joe. He's up to the top 4, and we've got a new player. It is Jake Lutz with car 14. Lutz has moved into 7.
He's working on the inside lane underneath Patrick Everly. Then look at Kyle Bonsignore, though, slams the door shut on the front straightaway. You've got to get down to the bottom. He wanted that inside lane, and he was going to take it away from Jake Lutz.
Well, it appears that Jake Johnson continues to guard the spot. Meanwhile, behind him, it is still the 22 car of Kyle Bonsignore. Bonsignore loose coming off the turn with that 22 machine every time in turn 4. That is going to work to the advantage of the number 14 car that's setting in the 6th position. Back up front, leader of the pack, Justin Bonsignore, continues to rig up those laps as the leader of the event.
That's a hard part of the racetrack for Kyle Bonsignore. One of the most tricky corners in the entire season is getting off turn 4 here at Lancaster. Because of that transition, it actually runs downhill a little bit as you go back onto the front straightaway, and when it does that, you catch the that drag strip. And you can see it here as they come off the corner. Bonsignore just has a hard time keeping his car on the bottom. That allows Jake Lutz to sneak underneath and get the spot.
Well, Jake Lutz has come from the 16th position. That was just 2 rows from the bottom of the field. So he's got that car hooked up and rolled in. That's a very familiar race car. A lot of people have driven it. Bobby Santos sat behind the wheel of it, and several other top drivers in the competition. We've got another spin coming up, and it looks to be the 10 car again, which will be the 5th spin, and caution coming out for car number 10, which is Bob Reese from Elma, New York, the ironlisting.com machine, and he's had a little tough time already, but it's still early in the event in this one. I think one of the key things here we're seeing, Joe, is on these restarts, if you, at the transition point of coming on to the drag strip asphalt, coming on turn number 4, you have got to be able to keep that chrome horn to the back bumper, and you can't let out of it. You've either got to make the transition, guard the inside, or go on the outside. And go on the outside, a lot harder said than done.
Yeah, it's where you get that front end pointed. You generally want to get that car rolling on the bottom lane of the racetrack as you come off the corner. So you're almost, as you look at it on the driver's direction, it's actually the opposite way, the way the drag strip actually runs here at Lancaster. But you want to be in the left-hand lane as you're coming down that front straightaway, almost on the inside, and not swing out wide that you would normally do. It's very, very wide here. Pit road is open. The race leaders are in. It's lap number 98. Craig Lutz, one of the first to hit his pit stall. All the way down on the turn 2 end of pit road, though, Justin Bonsignore in the 51 and the 16 car of Ron Silk getting tires. Look at the difference, though. Silk is taking right side tires, and it's the 51 that's taking 2 rear tires, but Bonsignore is blocked in by the crew of the 16.
But he takes advantage of it. Bonsignore does. Interesting enough, Ron Silk changed his team a right front. The 51 car changed a right rear. So a big difference right there in their strategy. Lutz was the first guy in. He became the second or third guy out. So the leader of the pack still remains the number 51 machine, the Phoenix Communication car out front. And as we said before, pit road strategy is completely different. They took a right rear and put it on. We saw they almost faked this out, Joe. It looked like they were going to the left rear to do something, and then they dropped the car and let it go, and that worked to their advantage because that got him out quick.
And that's where this change is going to come into play. We'll have more on that in a second. Let's go down pit road and Jesse Punch.
That 51 of Justin Bonsignore won that race off of pit road. Now, a few cars elected not to pit, so he will not restart there at the front. Justin, a 2-time winner already this season, sits 8 points behind the points leader, Ron Silk, but he's pretty confident here, having 2 top 5 finishes in the last 2 races. A strong finish tonight could help him in that points battle for the championship.
At Riverhead Raceway, these big, wide-open, flat tracks that carry a lot of speed, he's always run well at.
Certainly does. You know, in the old days, they said that if you run the bull rings, the quarter-mile racetracks, you will have success on any racetrack, no matter what size it is. And I think we have seen that over the years as we've looked at them. And, of course, the field is still in single-file formation. You're looking at the 00 of Andy Jankowiak. Jankowiak, as we said, got up to the 10th position. Then with the pit situation, that puts him a little bit further back until we get the reset of the field, and then we'll be set to get him fired back up. Surprisingly enough, Joe, we have had cautions. They have all been for minor spins. There has not been any severe situations, and among them, of course, a lot of the individuals that don't have a lot of track time on this racetrack, and Mother Nature was a key ingredient to all of that.
Yeah, not a lot of practice played out here today. Let's take a look at, though, how this shaped out. Remember, at lap 42, we saw cars come down pit lane. Of some of the cars that came down pit road included Matt Hirschman, Austin Beers, Andy Jankowiak. Those three cars will start towards the front, along with Ken Hagee now inside the top four. Of the cars that came down pit road under this most recent caution, Justin Bonsignore, he won the race off of pit road. He will start on 5th, the inside of row number 3. And so this is going to look very different when we get back under the green flag, but nobody wanted to see Matt Hirschman go from the back of the field to the front with 94 laps to go.
That is so true. And Jankowiak, of course, is the guy that we said before. We thought he had dropped back to the rear of the field. We did not realize that was not the case. Back up front, it is Hirschman in command, but on the outside is Austin Beers. Remember, Beers came in and made an adjustment. Car goes way up wide in the center of the turn there. Jankowiak is settled in that 00 car into the 3rd position. Single file is the story, but not for long. Here comes Austin Beers. He goes down underneath his neighbor, Matt Hirschman. Hirschman continues to guard the spot, but here comes Beers.
Beers knows that he's got to take advantage of Hirschman here on these restarts, because Hirschman is known to be able to get out in front and open it up. So Beers aggressive to the bottom. He'll take over the race lead. These two battled for the victory here a year ago. The defending race winner now, Austin Beers, out in front here in Lancaster.
Whatever the adjustment was, it worked for Austin Beers. He gets settled back in, goes around Matt Hirschman. Any day that you can pass Matt Hirschman on any racetrack at any event is a major accomplishment. But holding on to that is going to be another story. Back up front, another bid. Here comes car 51. Jankowiak, who got up to the 2nd position, now gets shuffled back to 3rd. And guess what? Here comes Old Blue, Jake Johnson, with car number 3, also among the top 5 cars.
So Bonsignore up to 3rd. Jankowiak now with that strategy starting to fade through as Jake Johnson goes to the back bumper of Jankowiak as they come up off turn number 4. He gets him a little bit loose. You saw that wiggle out of the 00, the Mendoza-owned 00 that happens to operate out of the original Richie Evans shop here in Western New York.
Yeah, that's a unique story all by itself. It's also teamed up with the folks at Spafco, so it's a little different combination than perhaps everybody else, with the exception of Jake Johnson has. They build their own as well. 22 of Kyle Bonsignore, threading the traffic rather nicely, is back up to the top 6, and he now starts to work over Jankowiak. Key with Jankowiak, he stayed out. Melissa Fifield on the inside as the entire front pack of cars go around, and it's still a good battle there with Jankowiak setting in the 5th spot. Here comes Kyle Bonsignore. Bold move to the bottom. Jankowiak left the door open, and Kyle Bonsignore will move in and pick up position number 5.
That's a textbook pass here at Lancaster. You set him up off turn 2, you dive underneath. Craig Lutt said, hey, Kyle Bonsignore, great job. I'm going to sneak under and follow your tire tracks and see if I can get underneath Andy Jankowiak as well. Now the battle for 2nd might even be the battle for 3rd, because Jake Johnson looks in the rear view mirror, and Kyle Bonsignore, his car was evil in that first segment, but after they came down pit road, Cam McDermott must have tuned that up to Kyle Bonsignore's liking, because that car is continuing to show a lot of speed and is moving forward here as we get deeper into this run.
We sure are. We just had a shot of the number 1 of Patrick Emerald, which is running in the 8th position. He's trying to close up the gap on Jankowiak. But right now, we go back with Kyle Bonsignore, Jake Johnson, and of course, directly in front is Matt Hirschman in this 4-car bid. And that, of course, that 4-car bid is for position number 3.
Johnson running a little bit lower through turns 1 and 2. Bonsignore saw that look again, almost tried to set him up in the exact same way he did with Andy Jankowiak. If he can get that car turning up off turn number 2 like he did before, that's going to be a pretty powerful position for that 22 car.
It certainly is, and as we said, it was really loose before, but it seems like a different race car since the adjustment was made on pit road. Jake Johnson nipping at the back bumper of Matt Hirschman. Hirschman on that last restart got off to a good start. There's the door. It opened, but as quickly as it opened, it closed. Kyle Bonsignore is there, sticks the wheel down beneath the line, gathers it back. He's hungry, Joe. He's trying desperately to get up and contend with our fourth place car, which happens to be Jake Johnson in the 3 car.
When he got down underneath the apron part of the racetrack, that's that new pavement that they had put down as part of that new pit road. You can see that access road. Here comes Bonsignore, another textbook move off turn number 2. He's got that corner figured out. He'll sneak underneath and move into the 4th spot. So Kyle Bonsignore up to 4th, directly behind Matt Hirschman. When you go up a little bit further, we're not going to take our eye off the race leader. Austin Beers has it, but Justin Bonsignore is starting to close in ever so slightly.
Certainly is, and this battle now as car number 3 continues to try to hold out of Jake Johnson in the 5th spot. Back up front, Austin Beers continues to set the pace as he continues to work his magic at the front of the field. Meanwhile, here's that battle we've been looking at for several laps. Kyle Bonsignore is able to reel in on Hirschman, but getting there and completing the pass is completely 2 different situations here.
Especially with Matt Hirschman, one of the toughest guys in the series to pass, but certainly the quickest car it would appear on the racetrack is that 22. Look at the drive this time he gets off through turn 3 and 4. That was the part of the racetrack that he was struggling with before that pit stop.
Heel. It sure was, and now he's got something, and that adjustment has made a huge difference as he continues to try to close up the gap on Hirschman. Hirschman setting in the 3rd position. The margin between 1st and 2nd is 0.6. That seems like an awful lot, but in reality that will change as things settle in. This is one of the longer runs that we've had so far, Joe, and that battle still raging as they come up, and it appears that now Hirschman is able to pull away by a little bit as he works his magic there as well.
A little bit of lap traffic up ahead, and Matt Hirschman is starting to close in on the 51 of Justin Bonsignore. Austin Beers may not be as quick as he was earlier because everybody 2nd, 3rd, and 4th that you see in your frame right there are closing in on Beers as he navigates some of the lap traffic. Andrew Spurback slow to the bottom lane. Leaders will have to go to the outside.
There's no question that definitely that's the story, and as there is the Emerling machine, it was challenged by Lutz directly to the bottom of the racetrack. In your frame is car number 16. That, of course, is Ronnie Silk. Meanwhile, look what's happening with lap traffic. It's become a problem for Jake Johnson. They are almost 3 wide as Patrick Emerling made the move trying to get around this lapped automobile. They touch. Car 10 goes around and almost gets clipped by Ron Silk.
Well, that's one way to get around a lapped automobile. Contact between Patrick Emerling and Bob Reese sends Reese spinning, the 3rd caution of the night that he has been involved in, and now the 6th of the evening, this time for a spin off turn number 4 after contact with Patrick Emerling.
You know, that was a tough situation there. Watch to the left of your screen. The 10 starts to loosen up. Emerling does make contact, has no way to avoid it. Watch Silk. He just barely got by as car number 10 guarded the inside groove, and all of a sudden, for the 3rd time in 6 cautions, car number 10 has been a factor, having a little bit of a problem getting adjusted and used to things here.
Bob Reese has his car rolling once again as Austin Beers leads the way. 69 laps to go, and will we see anybody else come down and make some adjustments in strategy play? And whether or not that will become a factor here. Beers has shown his strength. He's out in front. He's got control of the race. Can he manage that and fend off some pretty quick race cars that are sitting right there 2nd, 3rd, and 4th?
You know, on the last restart, we saw almost a group of cars that made adjustments, pitted, being able to do things they couldn't before that pit stop. Their strategy coming off the turn, back down on pit road. We've got a couple more cars in. One of the Catalano cars, the BJ54. They're working on the left front of that car. Driver behind the wheel and communicating and so forth with it. Obviously, you look at the front chrome horn of the car. There was definitely some contact made there. We might not have caught it, Joe, but it did happen. You can see the damage.
Yeah, heartbreak for the 54 car. Tons of damage on the bumper. Race leader is on pit road. He's going to bring Matt Hirschman down with him. Here comes Austin Beers, his second stop of the day. He's in his pit stall. Looks like they're going to go around and change 2 right side tires on the 64 of Austin Beers.
It's exactly the way you called it. Right front and right rear. They're not making any adjustments as we're looking at so far. No round of wedge, no checking of anything, just a right front and a right rear. Good pit stop for the A team as they get him back out. A little frustration on one of the crew members. Here comes Matt Hirschman, car number 60 back out. And of course, Austin Beers will follow. Jake Johnson, the number 3 car, was the 3rd car in your frame as they come back out of the competition. So a little bit of a shuffling of the deck, and that will give the 51 car of Bonsignore the opportunity. Now remember, Bonsignore, when he pitted, they did a right rear. They did not do any other tire on that.
Let's go back though. Remember, the rules were different when we went to Monadnock Speedway. It's the first time we saw this where you've got multiple tires you can change in any combination that you want to do. You can only take so many per caution. It was a 1-tire stop by Trevor Catalano that won the race earlier 2 weeks ago, and he pitted early, so that way he'd have that track position at the end. Both Matt Hirschman, Austin Beers are on that short pit strategy. They're pitting early, getting their tires, and waiting for everybody else to come down pit road before they go back out and they get that track position back. Now, 66 laps to go. Does Justin Bonsignore need to come back down pit road? Does his cousin Kyle Bonsignore, Ron Silk, need to come back down pit road? That's the question and the gamble that they just made with the 64 car in the 60.
Certainly is, and that strategy is really what it's all about. Remember, they can move tires front to back to front. They can do that. That is almost unheard of in a situation like this. Meanwhile, the 56 car, after that victory at Monadnock, Trevor Catalano, he is also working his magic in the top 4, currently shown in the 4th position. Lutz, meanwhile, sets back in position number 5.
And just to be clear on the tire situation, the number of tires that these teams get to use on race day is the same. That hasn't changed at all.
Never changed a bit.
Right. The difference is that NASCAR has allowed them to use them in the way that they wish to use them, right? So the same tires that they always got at the trailer on race day, everybody gets the same amount. It's not unlimited. It's just the options that they have is kind of unlimited because they can use pretty much anything that they desire throughout their inventory that's allowed.
They sure can, and of course, the whole concept of that was to keep the cost within structure and to provide some really competitive, great racing for the race fans. Take a look at the front chrome horn on the number 14 car of Jacob Lutz. It is about a 90-degree angle, and the Lutz machine is up to the top 5. There it is. Some heavy contact there, and it is not what they were hoping for, but he's still going to give it a valiant run. 2x2, ready for the action to kick off once again. This time, a pair of Bonsignores in the front row. Will Kyle have enough giddy up? Spins the tires just a bit. Justin maintains the lead. Here comes Ron Silk, bottom shot, car number 16. But while that's been happening, Kyle Bonsignore tests the waters, and Joey doesn't want to stay out there for long. Some contact was made. Looks like we've got another caution.
I think the 10 car, Bob Reese, is stopped at the entrance of pit road, and that's why the caution is out again. A little bit of contact between Ron Silk and the 22 of Kyle Bonsignore. Bonsignore knew that he did not want to get stuck in the outside lane. He had to get to the bottom, and he was trying to send it in there and get ahead of Ron Silk, and that was a risk he was trying to take, and there was a bit of contact when they got into the corner because Silk wanted that spot just as bad.
Yep, you got to give him credit, though. He did test the waters. It was just for a second. He realized he couldn't do it, couldn't stay out there, and he quickly changed his strategy and moved to the bottom of the racetrack, currently setting in position number 2.
Let's go back and look at the 14 car of Jake Lutz. He's running back there in the 5th position. This car last year was driven by both Bobby Santos and Chuck Hosfeld. Earlier this year was driven by Ryan Newman and Bobby Santos. Ryan Newman drove it at New Smyrna Speedway. Bobby Santos drove it at the Richmond Raceway. This young man has been extremely talented in the races that he has run. He won a big modified race out here at Holland Speedway just last week. He's relatively new to the Whelen Modified Tour, but his debut at Seekonk Speedway, a track he had never seen before, he came home 6th. But he's a student of the game. He has been working with this team as a tire guy. He's been working with this team in the shop. He is with this team all the time, and that effort, soaking in all the information as a sponge, a Daytona 500 champion like Ryan Newman he had an opportunity to work with, a multi-time Whelen Modified Tour winner and series champion in Bobby Santos. And when he's had the opportunity to get behind the wheel of the Modified, the 14 car, he has been stellar. And from Western New York, this is a racetrack where he's got a lot of experience at, and it's no surprise to see him run so well with what we've seen so far.
He really, really is a masterful young person that is focused heavily on it. We are, I believe, 1 lap till we go to the tribute to Tim Mangus, and hope we get a great shot of the fans in the grandstand, as they all has, as Jesse showed us earlier, their significant way of sending a message of positive and hope to Tim Mangus from all of us in modified racing.
Yeah, certainly so. It has been a tribute that has been so near and dear to the entire group here. Mike Myers, his entire team that's putting on this event here at Lancaster Motorplex here this evening. It's certainly a tribute and a well wish for Tim Mangus here tonight.
Oh, Lutz there, the 46 coming down on pit road. Let's see what they're going to do, what their strategy is. Right front is about to come off. Tire change on the right front. Off it goes. New right front being put on. Car is down in record-breaking time, but now they're jacking up the car, and they are doing something different than we've seen. They are changing or making adjustment to the left rear of the car as well, and they send him back out. Car number 46, a little bit longer on pit road than they'd like to be.
The car has looked a lot better, though, than it has over the past couple of weeks. I know that team has been working very hard to get back into their stride. And when you look at the races that are coming up on the schedule, Thompson Speedway, where he's a multi-time winner, Oswego Speedway, 5/8 mile tracks, that plays right into the hand of Craig Lutz and his crew chief, Doug Ojako. So this is a point in time where you can really see that team come to life.
You certainly can. We've had, in the course of the competition, we have had 5 different lead changes among 4 different cars or drivers. That's how competitive and close this event has been. But there's the man that's been pretty much the driving force at the front of the field, car number 51, setting the pace, and right there alongside. You know, it wasn't long ago when Justin Bonsignore in Victory Lane said he likes nothing better than, and there's those signs, ladies and gentlemen. The number 93, Tim Mangus, this is for you, buddy. From all of the race fans, and look at that, Joe. You talk about support, amazing support. Tim Mangus, get back, join us. There's a look at his car, number 93, and as we said before, a great tribute to a great man, and our prayers and thoughts go out to him. You can take a look at some of his historic cars over the years as well.
Great salute by the crowd here at Lancaster Motorplex. Just in time to lift the spirit for Tim, to lift the spirit of the crowd that is here today, waiting for the final 56 laps as we get the green flag here at Lancaster Motorplex, and 2 cousins on the front row, first and second, between Justin Bonsignore, his cousin Kyle, who's battling for the top spot and now slips back to 3rd.
All of a sudden, he got stuck in that outside lane, and then Silk made the move to the bottom. But coming on, just as strong, is Jacob Lutz. He's to the inside. Lutz might be a little bent up front, but he is bent and determined to get on the podium as he makes a move to the 3rd position.
Yeah, don't look now, because Austin Beers with those tires has slipped into the top 5 as well. Kyle Bonsignore up top. He's loose again in the outside lane. That's where that car has struggled. Jake Lutz trying to make the pass work to the inside of turn 2. Austin Beers will try to push him underneath on the back straightaway.
Beers continues to apply the pressure as he works the magic. back bumper, almost nose to tail, they almost touch. Kyle Bonsignore hung out to dry in the outside lane. Here comes the number 1 car. Beers is in trouble as Lutz goes around. And that, of course, the number 14 car, Jacob Lutz, who was giving it his all. And all of a sudden, the situation happens, and it is a tough one.
So Jake Lutz, trouble for him after running inside the top 5. Had a great car. You see the sparks flying off the front. That was from the first incident.
Yes.
But it happened when Austin Beers and he were racing for position. The 4th spot on the racetrack, getting down into turn 1. That's a tricky spot. It's 5 lanes wide on the front straightaway. As you dive off into turn 1, it begins to gradually narrow up. There wasn't enough room for both of those cars as they went down into the corner. Contact was made, and Jake Lutz goes from a top 5 run to now having to make up a whole lot of ground at the back of the pack.
Certainly does, and almost every corner of that race car has something a little bit twisted or awry. Here's another look at it. Look at Beers going to the inside. The two come together, and Lutz spins off the racetrack to the bottom, down in the loose stuff, stops it. Well, does make a little contact there. Beers is able to get away, and you can see Kyle Bonsignore to the outside. Not sure what's going to happen here, and of course, down in the grass is not where you want to be at all.
Another look at it getting down into turn 1. You see the car of the 64 bouncing as that left side was beneath that white line in the inside of turn 1. It bounced the car up the racetrack and into the 14 of Jake Lutz as they were both fighting for that preferred inside lane. Really not a lot of damage on the 14 car of Lutz. Fortunately enough, that styrofoam block certainly didn't bend up that bumper. That was already done before, but the damage was done in the track position.
It certainly was. The old school styrofoam block there is the original version of the safer barrier and so forth with it. But that car did not, most of that damage was done previously as they're checking the racing surface itself. Once you get down to the grass, based on the fact in the opening of our show, you saw how much rain they got there at the racetrack, and they've done everything correct to get the entire facility as dry as possible. But you know how it is. Get down on the grass, you get down there and it's loose and slick, and of course that's exactly what we saw kind of after the fact in this one.
All right, race leaders back on pit road. Justin Bonsignore, Ron Silk, Kyle Bonsignore. This was that extra pit stop that we were talking about. Remember, some of the teams took it earlier. They short pitted the race. Drivers like Austin Beers, Matt Hirschman, but now the strategy is reversed. Here comes Ron Silk. It'll be rear tires for Silk. Remember, he took right sides the last time, the exact opposite for the 51 of Justin Bonsignore.
Yes, they did completely the opposite. The 51 car took a right front and a right rear. Now, last time they only took a right rear. All of a sudden, the 16 car, they dropped it off the jack and it stalled. And that is going to cost them in getting back out a little time. Did not cost them any positions, though. But there is the 51. Good stop for them. New right side tires on that car as well. You know, in the old days, Joe, people made the comparison. They said in a generic form, it was kind of an old school. The old racer would say, you put on new tires, it's like opening a brand new bar of soap. It's sudsy and it's nice. After it sets in the soap dish for a while, guess what? It hardens up, it cracks, and it's never the same. That's how they used to talk about tires way back in the good old days of modified racing.
On that round of pit stop, Craig Lutz won the race off of pit road. He was able to get that car serviced and back out on the racetrack quickly. Remember, he was on pit road prior, so he made a quick adjustment and got out first. Justin Bonsignore lost a couple of spots on pit road. Jake Lutz gained some ground, and for the second stop in a row, the 16 car of Ron Silk lost ground on pit road. He'll restart and line up back behind the 14 car of Jake Lutz. Now up front, what's it look like? Austin Beers has assumed the race lead. Remember, he short pitted, came down pit road with 67 laps to go. His tire's a little bit older, but we haven't seen that much green flag action since then. Patrick Emmerling will be second, Jake Johnson, Andy Jankowiak, and Tommy Catalano, who was on pit road for that issue earlier in the day today, sitting inside the top 5, all based on this round of pit stops and the strategy cycling through.
It certainly is. You have to wonder about the Emmerling situation, because Emmerling was a factor in the bottom of the top 10. Now, all of a sudden, due to pit strategy and changes on pit road, Emmerling finds himself up to second. Will he be able to take advantage of that second situation? Johnson has been up there. Jake Johnson in the 3 car, still shown in 3rd. Jankowiak is there. There's a good shot of the Fleet Services number 1 car. That's the LFR chassis car. And, of course, directly behind Austin Beers. And that car, you said it earlier. You said his dad, Eric Beers, had so much success at this racetrack over the years, and he was the best teacher to keep Austin in line. Remember, Austin is the defending race winner here, and the fans love him. So let's see what's going to happen. But fan favorites are among the top 3 for the locals currently, because in that 4th position, it's Jankowiak back to the front of the field.
So Patrick Emmerling has been working hard to be able to get that victory here this year. They have been close a couple of times with some solid runs inside the top 5 several times here this season. He's up on the front row as we get to the final third of the New Way Auto Parts 150. Austin Beers on the bottom. The defending race winner will fire first. Green flag is out. We're back underway.
Bottom of turn number 1. Beers is still in command. Emmerling is digging hard in the outside. We haven't seen anybody able to make it stick in the outside lane. Look at Catalano. He's moved to the inside of Jankowiak. Catalano has moved in, taken over the 4th position. Tommy Catalano. He is a man possessed. Remember, just a short time ago, he was on pit road. But there's Bonsignore. He is stuck in traffic for a while. There's Lutz to the inside. Jankowiak still trying to run the outside lane.
Yeah, and remember Catalano just ahead. He was the quickest car in the short practice session that we had earlier in the day today. No surprise to see him fast here in the late going. Lutz underneath Andy Jankowiak. Gets the job down to the back straightaway. Right ahead of him, though, the 54 of Tommy Catalano is going to work underneath the 3 of Jake Johnson. He's trying to take over the 3rd spot in turn 1.
A good battle shaping up right there, and all of a sudden, Catalano finds the home in position number 3. Look a little further back. Lutz has surfaced, the black 46 car, among the top 5 here. Nobody getting out of the zone. The side-by-side battle is back for the 6th position. It is Bonsignore working his magic to the inside. He'll pick up the spot. Who's there with him? Here comes the 16. Oh, they make contact. 16 and the 00. Contact is made. Caution comes back out. Jankowiak.
Caution number 9 on the night. Andy Jankowiak with help from Ron Silk going spinning while battling for position up in the middle of turns 3 and 4. And that will bring out the caution. Austin Beer still the race leader. Patrick Emmerling and then Tommy Catalano. Let's get another look at it here. Turn 3 has been the trouble spot as the race leaders have battled for position. This time it's Silk who drifted up the racetrack and got that left side of Andy Jankowiak.
Once he made that minimal contact, all of a sudden the Jankowiak machine. Here's another look at it. Silk dives to the bottom. Jankowiak is there. Just a minor touch. And Jankowiak ends up spinning. Does a good job of keeping the back end off the wall. No real damage done there. But it's a heartbreaker for him. But there's still plenty of time to get back to the front of the field.
Let's go back and talk about that 54 car of Tommy Catalano. You know, when you go back and you look at the years that they have been running on the Whelen Modified Tour, Tommy Catalano was the driver. They put all the focus and all the effort into him. But this year, the brothers came out, his younger brothers, Tyler and Trevor. Trevor gets the win, the first for the Catalano family last time out at Monadnock Speedway. And he said, you know what, this week, it has certainly been a lot lighter in the shop. Everybody was, certainly going about business. It was really business as usual for us, but it was a big weight off of our shoulders, having finally able to get the victory. We talked about it at the start of the broadcast tonight. The PJ60, Patsy Joe, Patsy, his dad's father, his grandfather, that was Patsy's brother, was Joe. They raced here many, many years, had a lot of success in that family number 54. They both passed very close time together in the last 16 years this weekend, and they wanted to be able to bring this tribute paint scheme out. He's got the driver's suit that throws back to the first generation of family. They've done it right, and this is their home track, and you can see the fire in his eyes. He has come so close to get his own victory in the Whelen Modified Tour, and right before the caution flag came out, he was challenging Patrick Emmerling for second, and Trevor Catalano is hungry to do what his brother did 2 weeks ago.
He certainly is, and this is totally a family effort. Everybody works together in this combination. You can look at the front chrome horn of the 54 car. It shows that he has been using that, but there's no question about it. He is right there among our top 3 cars in the competition.
It's funny, you mentioned the chrome horn. I was looking at that. We saw Jake Lutz earlier.
Same thing.
Now we see the Catalano machine. We have seen others throughout the field. You would think that this was a race at Riverhead with those front horns being all banged up like they are. I'm kind of shocked to see how battered and beaten those front bumpers are here tonight.
They certainly are. You know, another ingredient that we've seen a lot of today, most of these cautions have been for minor spins. They have not been serious situations. They've been minor spins, and it looks like they're about ready to double them back up. Little different situation this time because Austin Beers will be on the inside. He's been there before, but Patrick Emmerling is going to be on the outside. Then 2 young, fierce competitors. A Catalano who has everybody in the grandstand cheering for the Catalano family. Jake Johnson, considered an outsider, but one of the best in a familiar Boulder Racing number 3 car.
We've seen a lot of short runs here tonight. Will that be the same? 35 laps to go. The New Way Auto Parts 150, the 3rd edition of this race here at Lancaster Motorplex. And Austin Beers on the bottom along with Patrick Emmerling, the 2 only winners in Whelen Modified Tour history, on the front row as they battle for the win tonight.
No question about it. Both of these guys have won at this racetrack. Back in 2021, it was Emmerling. And then, of course, 1 year ago, it was Austin Beers. Beers won in that same year at Richmond, and this was his 2nd victory. Meanwhile, challenge for 2nd, Catalano. Tommy Catalano does a fierce job of moving to the inside. Tommy Catalano has moved into 2nd. Emmerling's now got his hands full. It is Craig Lutz right behind him.
Meanwhile, trouble behind him. Jake Johnson goes up the racetrack. Damage on the right front for Kyle Bonsignore as well. The right front is down. The caution flag is out here. 33 laps from the finish. It'll go down as the 10th caution of the day. We talked a moment ago, Ben, about the minor spins. Well, for Kyle Bonsignore, this is going to be nothing but minor. The left front is pushed in. Right front is wobbling on that 22, and a good run for him has gone sour here as we near the
Certainly
finish.
is. If we look at the replay of that, it was kind of a shaky situation. We saw him dart out to the outside of the racetrack. He gathered it back, but there was some contact made, of course, in the competition and the situation there. So the 22 trying to get back to pit road. And here's a look at it again. You're looking a little bit in front of it. Now watch what happens there. Jake Johnson makes contact with Bonsignore. Kyle Bonsignore tries to avoid all of this. Now watch what happens here. Jake Johnson pulls down, did not make direct contact, and he just drives away. Car number 3. Wow, tough situation. And now there's another look at it again. Justin Bonsignore was literally sideways. We kind of missed all of that. Kyle Bonsignore goes up the hill. Jake Johnson somehow avoids it as they were way off the 4th turn up on the drag strip to the upper lane of the drag strip. Let's check things out on pit road. Cam McDermott and company, they're working on the right front and what looks to be the left front of the number 22 car. Tough break for them, Joe. They had a really good run going for them again. And this team is another one of those teams just shy of visiting victory lane.
Now, we've talked a little bit about the battle up front and Tommy Catalano and the strength that he has had. Let's go down to pit road and hear more on Tommy Catalano with Jesse Punch. car. We saw him on pit road earlier, Ben. No power steering on the 54 car.
Tough situation.
Of Tommy Catalano. And that has been a while, because we saw it's been, what, maybe 30, 40 laps
At
or
least.
so
We
that he's been
saw
on
them.
pit road.
Right.
Yeah.
That car was on pit road. They were working on it and making adjustments. But you know, when you're young, you got all that adrenaline, and he's doing a good job. It's not easy to drive a car without power steering. It's all muscle, and it's all creating that rhythm. You can't just snap it back, because it doesn't respond that easy or that quick.
So the plot thickens, but now he's going to have to restart on the outside lane, and he's going to be on the front row, but that is not the preferred lane on those restarts. We saw how good he was able to make that bottom lane work.
Certainly was, and let's see, when we put this all together, the second row is going to be Patrick Emmerling and Craig Lutz, another guy who's been just short of success. He's up there as well among our top 5 positions.
Lutz had come down pit road a couple of times earlier. Remember, we saw under that caution he was on pit lane.
Yes.
That's because they didn't get the right rear tire secured, so he had to come down an extra time. And they've been able to recover from that pretty nicely. And he has been slicing and dicing his way through the field to get himself back inside contention. He'll restart on the outside of the second row.
So it appears we've got 2 of the young guns, inside and outside. One wants to be there. He's done it once a year ago, likes to do it back to back. Murph's Irish Angel, number 64 car. Here they come, evenly matched. Off the turn, Austin Beers to the advantage. Patrick Emmerling sticks the nose in deep, but Catalano continues to dig and dig hard in the outside lane.
Like we saw earlier, you've got to try to clear that third place car and go after the race leader. Catalano was able to do that, and now he sets sail and tries to track down Austin Beers. Meanwhile, behind them, contact Lutz. Gets contact from behind. Trevor Catalano into him. They're side by side deeper in the field as they try to battle just outside the top 5.
4 cars contending in the pack like a swarm of bees. To the inside, it is the big winner from Monadnock. He'll move to the bottom of the racetrack, guards the spot back up front. Good bit still going on. Justin Bonsignore working his magic down underneath Tommy Catalano. Big tap to the back bumper lets him know he's there. Bonsignore is coming. He's in the 3rd position. That bumps Tommy Catalano back to 4th.
The outside lane restart for Catalano. The lack of power steering starting to show its head here as we get to the late stages. He's now back to 4th. Bonsignore, he's got the freshest tires among the top 3 cars. He's on the back bumper of Patrick Emmerling. Looks inside of the main straightaway, but does not have the steam to make it work.
Trying everything. He's applying the pressure. The clock is ticking. The laps are starting to go away. It is Bonsignore continuing all over the back bumper of Patrick Emmerling. He's right there, but out in front, expanding his lead, is Austin Beers. Now look a little further back here. There's a competitor that refuses to be left out of this one, and that is the 14 of Jake Lutz. He's back, running in the top 10.
This racetrack tonight has proven to be aggressive. You saw how Jake Lutz worked to the bottom of Trevor Catalano. Catalano said, I don't think so. I'm going to give you the chrome horn. Then you see Ron Silk saying, I'm going to give you the chrome horn. Back and forth. These drivers are giving it everything they have to try to unsettle the car in front of them, root them out of the way, and create a racing group to the bottom.
It's only going to take one slip up. We've seen it happen already. If you get shuffled to the outside, you usually end up going backwards. Bottom lane is where it is. That's the piece of real estate that you need to make the accomplishment. Meanwhile, back up front, Bonsignore continuing to work over Patrick Emmerling. Emmerling comes off the turn like a rocket, though, and now it appears we are back under yellow, and this time the caution.
56 of
yes.
Trevor Catalano. Last we saw him on screen, he was battling with Ron Silk for position on track.
That was in the 8th position at that time, 7th and 8th position. They were duking it out for, and apparently we did not catch it from our vantage point, but changing the complexion, and we are down to laps to go to less than 18 and counting, Joe.
Boy, there's going to be a lot of discussions in this one
Yes,
after the
there
race.
is.
There's going to be a lot of people who are not happy with the other person as this race unfolds here at the end. Tempers have flared here tonight for sure.
They sure have. And interestingly enough, a lot of individuals that we never see get this aggressive has gotten aggressive today. And again, there's a lot of new individuals that refuses to be left out of this one. They have fought and earned every position, and it's kind of been for them an up and down day. Jacob Lutz is the best example that I can give you of that. Tommy Catalano would fall into that category as well. They just never gave up, and they just kept fighting and fighting, and they're right there as we are less than 17 remaining in this event, the New Way Auto Parts 150 from Lancaster. And there's the bad news. Kyle Bonsignore, number 22 car, is of course was contending, running up front all day long. Cam McDermott and crew did all the right things in the Jean-Luc car, but unfortunately contact took the 22 out of the event.
Let's
go down,
to
Jesse.
Early into the day for Kyle Bonsignore. Kyle, you were visibly frustrated there getting out of the race car. What's going on?
I can appreciate everything that Lancaster Speedway does here for us. You know, with the rain today, they got put in a bad spot. But number one, we shouldn't be racing on a track that's got standing water on it. It's dangerous, and it put us in a bad spot right there. If you're on the outside on any of these restarts, you're junk. You can't go anywhere. You got to somehow get to the bottom. The 3 car was just trying to get to the bottom, got a little bit sideways off of turn 4, and I had nowhere to go. I just nicked him with the right front tire, and it broke the rack right out of my car. Right front tire was flat, and then we come in here to try and change it because we're running for points, and they won't even let us work on the car on pit road. We got to drag it back here where we can't work on it. We're in the mud. I mean, I understand but we got to have a better plan. It's just really frustrating. We had a really good strategy. We had a really good car. I was hoping we were going to be able to follow the 51 and the 16 right up there. And, you know, the crew chief, Cam McDermott, he called an awesome race. We were up in the front the whole race. And now we have nothing to show for it. So it just stinks that, you know, basically the lack of work area at the facility is keeping us from going out there and running for points. But I got to say hi to my wife and kids at home. They're not here right now. But thanks to all my sponsors, MTT, Master Truck and Trailer, LRD, Robert Yates Race Engines, Magnus Transmissions, Munz Automotive, everybody that helps us get here. We worked really hard today. We were in a really good spot. And then for situations that just completely out of our control, we have nothing to show for it. So
Thanks for the time, Kyle.
Yep.
Frustration is there, and of course there's the damaged machine back on the wall. And their day in their quest for points suddenly all over. But that's not the story. As we go back up front, Austin Beers, Patrick Emerling. Kind of ironic, Joe. Both of these guys have been here and won Whelen Modified Tour events. There is 14 and counting laps remaining in this event. The 2021 and 2023 winner are side by side. Then you take a look at row number 2. You've got Justin Bonsignore. His title, his credentials tell it all. And outside, right there contending, it is all of a sudden the 60 of Hirschman. We are back up to green.
Bonsignore aggressive on this start to try to take over the second spot underneath Patrick Emerling, and he does off turn number 2. That's probably the biggest threat at this point in the race to Austin Beers and his opportunity to win. We saw how fast Bonsignore was, and he's got newer tires as a 16 of Ron Silk has gone around in turn 3.
Ron Silk goes around. Seldom do you see this situation take place. He is one of the competitors that has been very strong and very aggressive. So car number 16, as we're looking at the car, we're trying to see if there was any damage, visual damage to that automobile, but that's going to change things just a bit.
Well, here's what's interesting. You look through the championship chase, and let's take a look at what happened here. It's Jacob Lutz that runs down to the inside lane, locks up the left front tire.
When he does, the car goes up.
It's like on ice.
Yes, it kind of gives a body slam. to the 16 machine, and Silk ends up going around. No
And
fault of his own.
It has been one driver, right? You look at it earlier in the race today, Jacob Lutz got spun by Austin Beers in a very similar move, just diving down to the bottom, being aggressive and trying to take that inside lane. What I was about to say before the replay is that you look through the championship leaders, and usually you get to a point in the season where somebody has a bad night. And, you know, Ron Silk has a problem. He's back in 13th right now. Is that a bad night? Not terrible, but you know what? For his standards, he's been in the top 10 all season long. It might be just enough of a window for Justin Bonsignore to tighten up this championship battle here, and that's sometimes all you need to even the score. Both have been nearly flawless all year. Now, we talked about those extra tires. They've got some more tires that they can play with. These could have been qualifying tires. It could have been practice tires that they had. Race tires from earlier in the race that might be a little bit better, but now they can come down pit road and put those tires on.
But here is, well, the other problem. We are down under 10 laps to go. It's almost impossible. We've heard these drivers talk about it. Jesse spoke with a driver who said, you have to get to the bottom of the racetrack. You can't get to the outside. It's almost impossible to pass. If those words are true, Ronnie Silk's got 10 laps to complete the mission to get him to the front of this field, and every position represents points.
Yeah, but the good thing for him, though, is that there's only 13 cars on the lead lap, and he is 13th. So nothing to lose here by coming down pit road, getting some tires that are a bit fresher. Even if they're 10, 15 laps fresher, they might have been on the car earlier in the day. Allows you to make an adjustment for a short run. We'll have 8 laps to the finish. I'm not sure whether or not that was it. From the caution flag goes, by the way, today has gone, and the aggressiveness that drivers have shown to try to get up there and have a good run here as the second half of the season starts. Austin Beers on the bottom. Here comes Justin Bonsignore to challenge on the outside of the front row. 8 laps to go with the green flag.
They rumble down to the bottom of turn number 1, off the second turn. Beers continues to set the pace. Emmerling guards the inside lane. Bonsignore, it's do or die time in the outside lane. Behind them, it is Tommy Catalano and Matt Hirschman. Now Emmerling able to shake off the 51 car, but the side-by-side bid now is for the 4th and the 5th position.
And Tommy Catalano, he's working the inside of Matt Hirschman. Hirschman stuck in the high lane of the racetrack. Catalano nearly ran out of room on the bottom, dips the left side tires right on that white line, but cannot get underneath and complete the pass on Matt Hirschman.
He's giving it his all. He continues to try to run on the inside. Hirschman guards the spot. Catalano. Hirschman able to shake him off. He'll maintain and move into the 4th position again. Meanwhile, it is Justin Bonsignore, who is literally all over Patrick Emmerling in a quest in the 2nd position. They're coming down to 5 circuits left and remaining in this event.
Austin Beers loves what he's seeing behind him. Justin Bonsignore might be a little bit quicker than Emmerling, but has not been able to charge through. How about a car that's quick, trying to pick up spots? Every spot is a point. Here comes Ron Silk. He's challenging to the back bumper of the 3 of Jake Johnson. He's already cracked the top 10. He still has time to salvage this finish here. We talked about 8 laps to go. He's trying to make the most of it.
He certainly is, and they've worked their way down. Less than 3 laps to go in remaining. Silk continues to work his magic down underneath Jake Johnson. That is the battle for the 9th position. Back up front, leader still remains Austin Beers, the Sly Zabin, Ronnie Newhouse prepared car. Taps to the back bumper. It's every man for themselves. Meanwhile, Jake Johnson literally threw that car in at a ton.
It'll be 1 to go, though, for the race leader off turn 4. Austin Beers looks in the rearview mirror, and all of a sudden, here is that one car right behind him. Patrick Emmerling is in the mix. Final time around for Austin Beers.
No question about it. Austin Beers looks to make it 2 in a row here at Lancaster. He'll rumble off turn number 4, work his way back to the line. Patrick Emmerling runs in his tire tracks. Austin Beers has done it. Back-to-back victories here at Lancaster. He will go into the record books as the big winner for the 2nd time in a car prepared by Ron Newhouse and Sly Zabin. Big Murph, the Irish Angel, fireworks in the air and fireworks on the racetrack. What a race we saw, where bumpers were kings, and of course the end results tells the story.
What a dramatic finish to that one. Austin Beers thought he had it in hand, and in the final few laps, all of a sudden, the Emmerling car closed right in. We saw the Jake Johnson car get airborne over the left side of Ron Silk's car. They stayed under the green flag as they were battling the bottom half of the top 10. But how about Austin Beers? Third career victory in the Whelen Modified Tour, back-to-back at Lancaster.
No question about it. You're going to see a young man with the biggest smile of them all on his face as he is about ready to get out. He said at the start of this one, my dad gave me the ingredients on how to win here at this racetrack. I watched him as a youngster. I was able to see what he could do, and now I'm able to get the job done. A lot of drivers have driven for the 64 team over the years, but guess what? It is Austin Beers who can hang his hat on 3 wins on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and Joe, he has done it in short order, to say the least.
KLM Motorsports team certainly going to be living high here tonight here in Western New York. Austin Beers, a swig of water, well-deserved. He had to fight his way through the field a couple of times today. They used that short pit strategy to gain the track position they needed to be able to get out front when it mattered most. And Austin Beers has won at Lancaster. Let's go down to Victory Lane and hear from our race winner. Jesse Punch is there.
Austin Beers defends his win here at Lancaster Motorplex. Win number 1 of the season. Austin, congratulations. This is a big win for you. You've had speed all year long, but you guys have struggled to get it done. What does this one mean to you?
Oh, this means a lot, but this one's for the Canfield family, and Evan Canfield was a great guy, and we lost him 2 days ago, and he was just an amazing person. We loved seeing him at the racetrack. Thank you to Mike and Maggie Murphy from KLM Motorsports, this whole team, for everything they do. Hi to Mike and Maggie at home. Glad to get another victory. First in the year, it's been a struggle this year, kind of distraught myself, but, really happy how tonight went.
Austin, take it back to those final laps. At what point in this race did you know that you had it won?
Not until I crossed the finish line. I mean, it was really tricky down in 1 and 2 with the weepers in the water. I get free there and have to gather it in, and that's where Patrick would catch up to me, and he ran me really well. So thanks to him, and just a really fun race.
Congrats on the win, Austin.
Thank you very much.
That's Austin Beers picking up win number 1 of the 2024 season.
House, giving him a little Gatorade and the big victory and hug to congratulate him with the Sunoco flag well in hand. And these people in the crowd here at Lancaster, great fans with a great tribute to Tim Mangus. But that's not the only story. These fans endured. They came to see a great race. And Joe, I think the New Way Auto Parts 150 definitely was a great race and another successful stop. Look at the smile on that young man's face on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour.
Yeah, certainly was. You have to tip your hat. You talked about the weather that came in earlier in the day today. They had all the things in place. They had the air tundras here to take care of the racetrack, and they had all the equipment to get this race in here tonight. Let's go back down to Jesse Punch.
Second place here tonight at Lancaster, Patrick Emmerling. Patrick, what more did you need in those closing laps?
The 64, congrats to Austin. He was rotating a little bit better. There was a couple little mistakes there that we almost could have capitalized. The Mother Nature kind of made the track a little interesting. There's a lot of water out there, but no, he didn't make any more mistakes in the last few laps, and he was just rotating better, and the whole Fleet Works number 1 team here did an excellent job today. This was for this team. This is our first time here, and second best, and we're been having really good cars with opportunities to win week in, week out lately, and just awesome job to the whole team here, and Rich, Dal, and everyone involved. Quite a pleasure to race with this team here.
That's your second place finisher here at Lancaster Motorplex, Patrick Emmerling.
That team's knocking on the door, Ben.
They are, and they continue to do it. And there's some more victory celebration going on for our winner, Austin Beers. There's a lot of the fans, family members down to congratulate him. Patrick, Emily, you're totally right. He is there every time and so close. It's just a matter of time before that car ends up in the winner's circle as well. So,
team will make their way
to
up
the
atop
victory
the
lane
stage, which
yes.
is impressive here at Lancaster Motorplex. And a great night to be had by all. Certainly a lot of racing still left to go as this season goes on. Let's go back down to hear from our third-place finisher.
Hard-fought night here tonight for Justin Bonsignore, bringing it home third. Justin, are you satisfied with your run here this evening?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good run. We had good speed, throughout the whole race. Strategy now with the way we can do pit stops is going to mix up the field. And, we just pitted twice. I think Austin's once, and track position was so important tonight with as wet as the racetrack was. Try not to say the wrong thing, but, the track and NASCAR and Mikey Meyer did everything they could to get this place dry. But it was a really, really tough racetrack for us to restart anywhere on the outside or make any moves. So hats off to them. Hats off to the fans for packing this place out. But, we had a car capable of winning, and we led a bunch of laps, which is great because we haven't been where we feel like we need to be this year. So hopefully this is a sign of a good second half of the year. And, it's definitely tough, but I just want to thank Phoenix Communications, Clearcom IT Solutions, M3 Technologies, Fury Race Cars, Robbery Yates Racing Engine Center right here, all our product sponsors, everybody. This is a long trip for us to get up here, and we had a rough day with our hauler, and to come out of here with a podium, a good point tonight as well as we start to get into the summer here. The 16's been really fast, and hopefully we made some steps in the right direction tonight with speed, and we can go toe-to-toe with them the rest of the year. It's shaping up hopefully to be another barn burner.
That's Justin Bonsignore, third place here tonight.
All right, so Bonsignore finishes on the podium tonight. A little bit of trouble for Ron Silk tonight. He came home in the 10th position. The celebration is going to be on for the 64 car of Austin Beers and his team. But, Ben, we've got a lot of big races still on the docket coming up just a few weeks from now. A Wednesday night, we'll race at Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. That's the next stop for the Whelen Modified Tour.
Come out and see it. It is another exciting event for the Whelen Modified Tour. It all goes after Thompson for the Wednesday show. August 31st is Oswego Speedway. Back to the premier short track on September 14th, Riverhead Raceway, and round number 3, September 21st. Don't miss this one at the high banks of Monadnock Speedway. Then North Wilkesboro, a stop everybody's pumped up about, and then Joe for the final 2.
Thompson Speedway again, the World Series weekend, a Sunday afternoon, October 13th. And down to the Martinsville Speedway, a Saturday evening, October 26th. What has been the tradition over the past couple of seasons to wrap up the Whelen Modified Tour season. Lots of good racing still to go. We just started the second half here tonight. And if tonight is any indicator of what we'll see in the second half, it's going to be a good one. The Whelen Modified Tour at Lancaster Speedway. They fought the rain. The track did everything they could to make this racetrack raceable. The green flag delivered by local law enforcement, and it was on from there with Austin Beers having a very stout car from the drop of the green.
There was a lot of minor cautions, nothing too bad. And then on lap number 93, a salute to Tim Mangus. But it was back to checkered flag racing to the wire. Austin Beers and the A-Team, Sly Zabin, along with Ronnie Uhouse. Big celebration for Austin Beers in Victory Lane.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.